University Teachers Association of Ghana, UTAG, has served notice that its members would be withdrawing their services starting today, Monday, January 10. According to UTAG, the strike is occasioned by the government's failure to address the worsening conditions of service of lecturers. In a statement dated January 8, UTAG explained that government has flouted the agreed timelines to address their concerns. The leadership of the Lecturers Union reiterated its resolve to follow through with the decision to withdraw teaching and related activities until further notice. We'll take you to the University of Ghana campus shortly to gauge the mood there. Manuel Kranting is standing by. Manuel, good morning. Can you tell me what's happening on campus?
Also, maps in just the past couple of hours that we've been here at the University of Ghana Legon campus, what we have learned is that a lot of the students are indeed gearing up for the academic year. What we've been told is that this week has been designated for the arrival of the students from level 100 all through to the senior level of level 400. Essentially, the academic calendar, properly speaking, is expected to start on Monday, January 17. And that is when their real academic work in terms of instructional hours and all of that are going to start. But for a lot of the students that I've been speaking to off air, what they express is, a general and really widespread apprehension about the possibility of the academic calendar being derailed and thrown out of gear because this is not going to be the very first time that University Teachers Association of Ghana is having to embark on a strike. It's happened a couple of times in just the past year and the years before that, and all of those culminated into really distasteful, if you like, impact on the students. I'm going to speak to a few of them to find out how they are taking this news in briefly. Let me just welcome some of them. Louisa is you're level 400 student, correct?
Yes, please.
Okay,
I am.
So to talk to me about this particular strike. You saw this coming. Of course, UTAG had given an indication last year that it was going to go on a strike this year if government didn't meet their demands. But as students, how are you taking it?
We are not really happy about it because already the COVID has brought some distractions and has put our distractions within our studies. So we are not really happy about it. We really want the lecturers to come around this week or next week to start our academics year.
Well, so if they don't come this week or next week, as you are asking, then it means that your academic calendar is going to be thrown out of gear. Am I correct?
Yes, I guess, because during the pandemic, we were given a short period to study a lot of stuff. We wouldn't want that to happen again.
Okay. So when COVID-19 came and disrupted the academic calendar, a lot of content was crammed into just a few. Let me speak to Ellie also. Ellie, you're also a student here. You're in your final year also.
Level 400.
Okay. So tell me how you're taking in this news of the lecturers embarking on the strike.
Mano, this is very unfortunate news to us as a student, as a final year student. We weren't expecting something like this to happen at this particular point in time, because as I speak to you, I'm currently embarking on my project. I've started the first part, and as we speak, because of this strike, when I speak to my supervisors, they say they are on strike officially today. So from today going, I cannot speak to them and get informations and outcomes to whatever I'm doing. So I'm yet to start the lab work. I actually did a field trip, so I'm yet to start with the lab work. And you know how lab work is. We are now being initiated to the whole process. So time and time, you may have to consult your supervisor to be able to know what to do at any point in time. The lab technicians, they don't have this chunk of knowledge to be able to take you through the process. So the lecturers going on strike at this particular point in time, for me in the sciences, is a very unfortunate news for us.
Yeah, and it's going to affect academic calendar.
Yes, because maybe this may last for at least maybe 2 or 3 weeks, and this means that we may have to rearrange the whole academic semester, and this pushes the whole my graduation into to somewhere after October and November. But you know how you have to plan your life such that you start the national service in time and move on to other careers. Yeah.
And Elliot is talking really about the the long-term impact of the strike, and it seems to have a snake effect on the entire academic calendar. Just a week or so of the academic calendar being cut off culminates into excesses that you not want. But tell me, are you in a final year also?
No, I'm in level 300.
Okay, level 300. Then, of course, I mean, this will not be as impactful as it is to Ellie, who's in his final year and doing this project, no?
Oh, it is as well. When we were in level 200, we did not expect 2022 to look like this because we've been in level 200 for a long time. I can say almost a year, and we're expecting to move to level 300 so that we will be able to quicken and move on to 400. Then by next year we'll complete. So we're already doing our plans already, and this has come. I'm hoping that the UTAG would not really stretch it that much, and government will respond to them so that we will the academic calendar will be back on track.
Okay, and as we have this conversation with the students who are at the receiving end of the impact of this particular strike, the National Union of Ghana Students, NUGS, has thrown its support behind UTAG, essentially asking government to deal decisively with their concerns. Its secretary, its general secretary, Julius Kwame Anthony, is just joining me briefly for a quick conversation. Julius, grateful that you could speak to us here on the JoyNews channel. I mean, you are throwing your entire support behind UTAG on this journey of strike, demanding better conditions of service. But where does that leave your students, the ones on whose behalf you are serving?
It leaves our students happy in the long run because, I mean, last year we had the academic calendar thrown out of balance, and in the middle of things, the whole public has to call on UTAG to come back and all that. They demonstrated a high level of good faith by coming for us to finish that academic calendar. What we are having now is a situation where if government does not deal with this situation now, we would continue this academic semester. Then in the middle of it, UTAG goes on strike. So it's best for us that we have a situation where at the beginning of things, immediately, this thing is solved. As we speak, students are just resuming for registration and all those things. So it's best government solves that before we start teaching the teaching component of the academic year, then things jumble up again. We don't want that situation at all. That's why we are saying government should take UTAG seriously and deal with the issues decisively. I mean, if you look at the demands UTAG is making, we think they are in the right. Because from 2013, certain demand has been on the table. You take out a component of their salary. They are asking you to restore it. If you can't make increments, restore what has existed, and we move forward. It's as simple as that. So we are really backing them on this. A happy lecturer makes happy, students. So we look forward to having that situation. Government should take UTAG seriously. Simple as that.
There's a concern from your students. That is, I mean, with COVID-19 coming in 2020 and all of that, they had to cram a lot of course content in a very short period, and that has even left the academic calendar, altered and all of that. If this continues for a week, for 2 weeks, for 3 weeks, you are most likely going to have a similar thing where your students will have to, go under the stress of compacting a lot of content in a very short while.
Well, yes, it's an inevitable situation looking at things. But Manuel, which should we rather have? The lecturers come and have a lackadaisical attitude towards the teaching and all that because they are not happy, or we have a situation where their problem is solved and we deal with happy lecturers. I think I would go for the latter.
That's my colleague Manuel Kronting, and he's live at the Legon campus. But joining us live is the PRO of the Fair Wages and Salaries Commission, Earl Ankra, for more. Earl, good morning.
Good morning.
Now, what was the last agreement reached with UTAG before this year?
Well, we signed the conditions of service. We negotiated and completed conditions of service somewhere in October. We signed on it, and normally, as it goes, the parties have signed on it, and it is a done deal. So that was the last time we dealt with their conditions of service. But considering their latest call for strike, it has to do mainly with the labor market survey. They said, if you will recall, UTAG came up with a communication that they were going to embark on a 3rd December strike because government was more or less dragging its feet regarding the results of the labor market survey. I'll give you a brief about the labor market survey. This is a survey aimed at identify critical skills in short supply, but it is a prerogative of the employer to say, okay, if there are critical skills elsewhere outside of the public service that are in short supply, and we want to attract them, more or less poach them into the public service, we will have to take a certain number of steps so that we'll be able to attract them. Those steps include maybe lifting the ban on employment and possibly paying market premiums. So it is the employer's prerogative. It is not an issue for negotiation. There's a government white paper which specifically says that. But then they said they wanted the results of the labor market survey from the Ghana Statistical Service. Those results were given to them just somewhere last week, Thursday. Yet they are still on the strike. Now, with the communique that came out recently following the meeting with the Minister of Employment, at which the labor market survey results were given to them. Yeah. Their response to that is that they don't think the results and recommendations of the report will augur well for them. So they are embarking on a strike. It's the situation at the moment, to the best of our knowledge.
Now, what's the status of that arrangement?
Well, Ghana Statistical Service was engaged to conduct that survey. They came up with a report and a set of recommendations. Government is here to look at the recommendations and say, okay, we're going to pick this and we're going to pick that. Again, it's important to remind UTAG and all beneficiaries of the interim market premium. And this is a preserve of the employer. We can say, okay, let's look into the studio situation. We look around when we think we don't have enough lighting men. So what would the employer do to attract lighting men? Maybe we don't have enough lighting men because we've not lifted the ban on employment of lighting men, or possibly because they are getting paid better elsewhere. So what should the employer do to attract lighting men? It is not the job of anyone else, anyone within that circle, to say, if you don't pay a premium that will attract lighting men, we are going on a strike. That is the situation at hand at the moment. So the labor market survey has been completed. Ghana Statistical Service has handed it over to government. Government has shared the results with UTAG as they demanded, and UTAG has looked at the report and said, we don't think this will work well for us, so we are going on a strike. That's the status of the situation right now.
So now, when UTAG served notice of the strike, which was like November last year, did the Commission ever engage them or take any necessary actions? Well,
normally, according to the law, when a party is on strike, you're not supposed to engage them. It is against the Labour Act. Okay. Which is a law of Ghana. Yet, they set a certain date. Now, we engaged them and gave them so as it stands right now, it is a wishy-washy situation. There is supposed to be a meeting with them today at the Ministry of Employment to look at other issues of their members. Okay. As they've called right now, it becomes an issue. But the point is, the members, the leaders of UTAG are very much aware of the law, which says that you cannot be engaged with, we cannot engage you when you're on strike. So if they are interested in the issues concerning their members, why would they go on the strike when they know that it is contrary to the law, when they know it is likely to block the possibility of further discussion on the issue? Yeah. So as I said, even this morning, we were supposed to meet them, but as they are on strike, we don't know if they will be present for that meeting.
All right. Aside the meeting that you were planning this morning, what's the way forward?
Ideally, of course, I will not be able at the moment to state what government will do regarding the way forward. But then, ideally, normally, this is the trend. When a party goes on strike, Labour Commission, the National Labour Commission, which is empowered with mandate to deal with industrial issues of this nature, they will invite both parties to the National Labour Commission, and then they will listen to both parties, and they will say the party on the strike should call off the strike because it's against the law. the leadership of UTAG is very much aware of this. It is after they have called off the strike that we will engage with them and look into the issue. If they are still not satisfied, there are processes and procedures they have to follow. Indeed, at the beginning of negotiations, we signed some rules of engagement. Those rules of engagement state that when you have a grievance, when the negotiation is not going the way in which you want it to go, there are processes you have to follow. You have to go to the Labour Commission, go through arbitration or mediation and certain levels, and then we will come to a conclusion. Strike is the very, very last resort, but we have not exhausted. UTAG has not exhausted all those processes. So, as I said, I can't say what government's position will be at the moment because we are yet to meet to decide on that. But the usual process is it will end up at the Labour Commission, and the Labour Commission will ask them to call off the strike, and we'll get back to the table.
All right, so Mr. Ankara, thank you so much for your time. That is the PRO of Fair Wages and Salaries Commission, Mr. Earl Ankara.